All I'm saying is that when you start looking at the real world and put down the newspapers and turn off the television and all that silly nonsense that the masters are flooding the world with, I like to say pouring into the human trough for us animals to lick it up. When you turn off the TV, or another better thing is turn on the TV but shut the sound off completely and sit and watch all of the Fruit Loops, goofballs, airheads, dingbats, traitors, liars. Watch all of these goofballs and just flip around the channel and all you see are talking heads, dingbats, airheads, paid lackeys, and that's what you're consuming every day, is all of that nonsensical pratter and tripe, and you're taking that into your mind and trying to, and as I've said before, your decisions on life are only as good as your information.
Now, Jordan, you mentioned the Knights Templar earlier. Didn't they become the Illuminati at one point in time?
Well, they are a part of that whole Illuminati system, but the actual Illuminati as such, I believe, can be traced back to the Jesuits. I think the Jesuits were the very first Illuminati, and today, when you talk about Illuminati, I think that what you're talking about ultimately is the Jesuits. The Jesuitical system of religion in the Catholic Church is Illuminati. In my opinion, that's what we talk to. When we use the word Illuminati and the dark forces, the secret societies, and all the occult mystical powers of the earth, that is Jesuit, in my opinion. And I've only been looking at this for 48 years, so I'm not the world's foremost. I'm not the world's foremost authority on anything. But that's my opinion. But 48 years.
48 years, sir.
Thing.
48 years. That's amazing.
48 years have taught me one thing: Jesuit. That's where the action is.
How does this tie into the monarchs, though? I've heard two different sides. The monarchs run the Jesuits, and the Jesuits run the monarchs.
Well, basically, that's it. Yeah. Look at all the monarchs in Europe. We're talking about the Western world now. But in the Western world and Europe, we have something called the royalty, kings and princes of royalty. And all of the royalty are said to be able to rule by divine right. Well, you need to question, what are you talking about divine right? It sounds as though you're talking about God gave them the privilege and the right to rule me, divine right, until you look at the word divine. This is why the Catholic Church has, all ancient religions always have wine to represent the blood. Wine in the Catholic Church represents the blood of Christ. The Catholic priest drinks the wine on Sunday. Well, where does wine come from? It comes from crushing grapes. And grapes grow on divine. And so therefore divine gives us our whole idea of the crushing of the grapes, the holy wine, which represents the blood of the human race, and the earth is the holy chalice, the holy grail, and our blood is the wine of the earth in the holy grail. Well, I mean, I don't even know where to go with this because there's so much here.
It is.
It's very difficult to try and explain something coherently when this has taken thousands of years to develop, and you have to spend many, many years looking at the words, the terms, the symbols, putting words with the symbols, putting those symbols with organizations, those organizations with religion, government, commerce. And one day it will finally dawn on you that the entire earth is in the grips of gang. That's all it amounts to, is gang war. The British are a gang, and they are at war with the Arabic gang. And the Arabic gang has their own bloodletting murderers over there, and their gang is at war with this gang. and the American gang or one of the big gangs on the block, and they're at war with that gang and the Russian gang, and the Russians have their mafia, and so all governments are gangs. And when we walked in, this doctor comes walking up to me and says, "Jordan, I want to talk with you." And he said, "You know, many years ago, about 10 years ago, I heard a lecture. I was at a lecture you did in Los Angeles, and you were highly, highly offensive to me. The stuff you were saying about my religion, about my church, I was extremely unhappy hearing the things you were saying. But I couldn't shake the idea that you might possibly be right." So he said, "So I sold my properties, I sold my practice, I liquidated everything I owned, and for 8.5 to 9 years I've traveled the world reading and studying at all the leading universities and museums of the world, and I want you to know that you caused me to do this, so I'm giving you the end result of my 9 years of study, and I call it Christianism.com. So he gave me boxes and boxes, heavy boxes, from his car to mine, of all the photocopies he had taken around the earth for 9 years as a PhD, as a doctor, meaning he knows how to study correctly. And I mean, he has done one incredible job of seeking out documents upon documents in all the languages, translating them, about where churches and religions have come from. Where does synagogues come from? Where do all of this stuff of religion actually come from? Go on my web. It's in links under religion, called Christianism.com, and sit there and read for the next 4 years. Is the Vatican. Vatican is behind world governments, also behind America's government. The United States Corporation is a Vatican operation. And if you go back to the history of Rome, you will see in the history books that Caesar ruled from something called Capitoline Hill. Capitoline Hill was the seat of power for the Caesars. So the word senator means an actor. Someone who acts in a play is called a senator. And the Congress, of course, is sex. So, first of all, I do not believe that Judaism is a BC religion. I believe Judaism came into existence as a religion about the 14th century A.D., only about maybe 500 years ago. There was no ancient Israel. There was no King Solomon, King David, Moses, none of that ever existed. Solomon was simply the word, the name of the sun in the three esoteric languages. Everybody knows that, or should know it. You've gone to school. Solomon is S-O-L-O-M-O-N. S-O-L is Latin for the sun in Latin. For the sun is Sol. S-O-L. O-M is Om in Hindu. Om is the word that is used for the creation, is called Om, or the priest of Om. And On was the city of the sun. The Greeks called Heliopolis. Heliopolis was Helio, which is the sun, and Opolis is a government, or a town, or a city. So the city of the sun was called Heliopolis, but Heliopolis is Greek. The actual Egyptian name for the city of the sun was O-N, On. That's why you flip a light switch on, because it was a city of light, the city of the sun. So you take Sol, Om, and On, it becomes the King Solomon. No, it's the Son is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, God's Son. Jesus is the Son, S-U-N, not S-O-N. So God's Son is the light of the world. Of course the Son is the light of the world. Is your risen Savior. God's Son is your risen Savior. Of course the Son is your risen Savior. If it don't come up, you're dead. And so the sun is giving energy to the earth so that the plants can grow, you can grow, and life can prosper on the earth because of the sun. So the story was that God's Son, our risen Savior, who is the light of the world, is giving his life so that you might live. Yeah, the sun gives energy to the earth, and you get the energy, and you can live. So God's Son is giving his life so that you might live. When you start breaking down the esoteric encoded story of the New Testament, you begin to see it's sun worship. That's all
Right.
Christianity is.
Is it a plagiarism of the Egyptian religion?